Well, this is definitely interesting. If you guys may remember, not too long before this trailer was released, in fact, it was probably just a couple of weeks ago, Pixar actually released their trailer of The Incredibles 2. And if you may remember, you probably have seen my trailer reaction to that one. And I think it's safe to say that I am pretty excited for it. And now Disney has just released the trailer for another sequel to a highly praised animated feature, Wreck-It Ralph 2, or specifically Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. So this is going to be our first official look at anything. I'm really surprised about the length of this trailer, considering this is just a teaser, and it says that the video is 2 minutes long. So let's just wait and see how it goes, and honestly, I'm really excited to see what it has in store. So I'm pretty much ready right over here. I got the link in front of me. So let us begin this trailer in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Oh, the old arcade.
All right, let's get you plugged in.
Oh.
Or is it wifey?
Why don't we just go in?
Oh, this is interesting.
We are online.
Oh, wow. He has a pretty old computer, I see.
Whoa, cool.
Ralph, isn't this great? We are going to the internet!
Super excited. Just one minor
Definitely
thing.
looks great.
What is the internet?
IMDb.
Holy cow. Look at all this
Shows
stuff.
I'm surprised they actually got real sponsors in there.
These 10 child stars went to prison. Number 6 will amaze you.
That sounds interesting.
Ralph, come on!
Redirecting to Eden.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next item up, a black velvet painting of a sorrowful kitten.
It's like it's looking into my soul.
Yeah, that one's really gonna haunt me for a while.
Okay.
Games.
Pancake. Milkshake.
Out of my way, kids.
Pancake. Milkshake. Milkshake. I'm starting to understand why people like this game. Very zen. Milkshake.
Hey, look what I found! More pancakes!
Let's speed it up. Pancake. Pancake. Pancake.
Oh my
Pancake.
God.
Pancake. Pancake. Eat, little buddy. Eat.
Ralph, you might want to try feeding the kitty for a little while.
No, the kitty gets the milkshake. The bunny gets the pancakes.
Oh my God. Wait, what? Oh my God. Wow. You know, honestly, like, so far, like, most of the trailer, I just feel like it's just But then right at the end, just that ending right there with the bunny and the kitty, like, wow. That is just, wow, that's even dark by Disney standards. And so, for our first story right over here, we're going to be talking about a teaser trailer. And surprisingly enough, this actually came in a lot sooner than I expected. Or, I feel like it's actually very soon, considering that it was not too long ago that we actually got the trailer for The Incredibles 2. Or at least, the first full trailer that would be released during the same time as the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. But this one right over here, just like The Incredibles 2, it is actually a sequel from Disney that is highly anticipated. In fact, this is actually one of the most anticipated animated features that are going to be released. And what I'm talking about, of course, is going to be Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. Disney's first ever sequel ever since The Rescuers Down Under, or at least the first legitimate sequel, because as you guys probably know with Disney, like, it's very rare that they would actually go and make a sequel. It's like really rarer than a Blue Moon even. I know technically there are some follow-ups that some people would actually count, like The Three Caballeros is technically a sequel to Saludos Amigos, or even the 2011 Winnie the Pooh movie is a follow-up to The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. But they're not necessarily direct sequels per se. Wreck-It Ralph 2 and Rescuers Down Under, they feel a lot more like a step up or a follow-up from the originals like Wreck-It Ralph and The Rescuers. But yes, after all this time, the public has finally gotten their first ever official look of what the movie is going to look like. The last time that anybody has actually seen footage is actually back at the D23 Expo, where apparently they showed one clip that featured a whole bunch of cameos from the Disney princesses, where apparently Vanellope goes into the world of ohmydisney.com. Now, we didn't necessarily get it right over here, but what we did get instead is actually a teaser trailer. And it's actually quite interesting how it is a teaser trailer, and yet it's actually a pretty long trailer. It's actually fully 2 minutes. But then again, I guess you can argue that, yeah, it is a teaser trailer considering that it is something that doesn't fully explain the story. It just gives us a tiny little taste of what's to come. So, with all that said and done, let me explain to you a little bit of what this teaser trailer showed us about what's going to happen in Wreck-It Ralph 2. Now, the owner of the arcade, which is an homage to one of the referees for Twin Galaxies, he decided to go and finally get some internet onto the arcade. So he bought, he pretty much got like this, wireless connection cable, and he's officially booting up his computer to go and start having Wi-Fi onto the arcade. And from there, Ralph and Vanellope got a little bit curious, and they decided to go inside the internet to see what it is, or just to go into this new cabinet that they thought it was a new video game called, like, Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi or something like that. So they decided to check it out, and from there, they would go and explore the world of the internet. And what seems to be happening is that they could also go into, like, the whole World Wide Web. It's not just limited to the old man's computer, but also, like, you go into the entire world of the internet, where they even entered upon this little girl's iPad, where she's playing this cute little kids game where Bunny eats pancakes and Kitty eats milkshakes and all that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much the insanity that we got in Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. And honestly, in terms of the reactions that I got from it, like, it's very interesting because you can pretty much cut it into 3 separate parts, where you got the beginning, you got the middle, and then you got the end, like right after you see the logo of Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. Now, I will say, the beginning is a great startup. Like, that is the one that really, you could technically just show that, and that would actually make a legitimate good teaser trailer, and actually put emphasis on the teaser part, and would end up making it as long as the Incredibles 2 teaser trailer, where you just see Jack walking around creating the logo for the Incredibles 2. Now, that one was actually great, and a lot of people say that, like, what the old man is showing is kind of outdated technology, but then I actually saw this tweet coming from a Best Buy employee saying that what they're depicting in Wreck-It Ralph 2 in the teaser trailer here is actually very truthful, considering that many people like that guy's age, they would go in and be very late bloomers in terms of the internet. Like, yeah, like, even his computer that he had, it was very old, and you could tell that he doesn't really have that much of a knowledge on the internet. Like, including, if you look closely, like, when he was about to click on his computer going into the internet itself, like, you see that he spelt it wrong. Like, instead of internet, like, the last E is actually an A. So, he doesn't have that much knowledge on the internet, and just goes with what he knows. And honestly, it's a very nice touch and a very nice detail with what they're doing. And honestly, I feel like it's a great setup for what could be to come. But then you got the middle part of the trailer, and honestly, that's probably the most disappointing part for me. Or I wouldn't necessarily say disappointing, but probably the most lackluster. Because once Ralph actually gets into the internet, that's when you start to see the common internet jokes. That's when they're doing some of the more obvious stuff, like doing cat-related humor, or like you see a bunch of spam coming in, like just mentioning, like, oh, hey, check it out, you're a winner. Oh, look at these child stars that got arrested and all that kind of stuff. Like, those are honestly internet jokes that have already been done numerous of times before. But I will say, though, the animation that is crafted from what we saw in that little piece, like when you see the world of the internet, I will admit that is highly impressive, and it really does look nice. But I will mention right now, though, that there is one little fear that I do have for this movie in general, and maybe it's an absolutely ludicrous and insane accusation, but honestly, when watching this, I did get a little bit of Emoji Movie vibes. Now, I'm not saying that as, like, this is going to be godforsaken garbage and an absolute disaster of a movie. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that the aesthetics really do look familiar, where you see the main characters entering upon this digital world, or in this case, the whole internet, and the buildings and the areas, they're pretty much based on real world products. And you actually do get to see that in here, where you see at one point there was a logo of IMDb, and then Ralph and Vanellope would go onto eBay. And they would go and check out the stuff that they have in there, and then they see that portrait of a sad cat where they say that it will haunt their nightmares and stuff like that. Like, honestly, at that point, that's where I did get a little bit worried, and if we might see a little bit of similarities, like, maybe not plot-wise, but mainly aesthetic-wise with the theming and the tone and all that kind of stuff with what they're doing with the Emoji Movie. And especially one thing, like, the whole spam messages where you see people surrounding Ralph telling them about, like, these spam links and, like, congratulations, you're a winner and all that stuff. Technically, I think that was already done in the Emoji Movie as well. So that's one thing that I am worried about. But then again, you could argue that technically those aesthetics, they can also be applied to the first Wreck-It Ralph, where technically you don't see real world properties where Ralph and Vanellope would get into, but technically, like, Ralph is in this digital world, in this case, the arcade world, and you do see recognizable characters, like characters that do already exist, like Bowser and Bison, Dr. Eggman, and all those characters. So there is a little bit of a similarity, and I guess in that tone, they do try to keep it similar. But I guess, all in all, the Emoji Movie really did ruin everything, in a sense, considering that technically Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, did start production way before the Emoji Movie. I mean, keep in mind, with that film, like, the production was literally only 2 years from, like, the birth of an idea to the finished product. So, honestly, maybe it's just a massive coincidence. But then there is the ending, where even if you're not really that impressed with the middle, it will easily get you with the ending, which I think a lot of people can agree is the best part of this trailer. Now, what pretty much happens, it is the part where Ralph and Vanellope, they enter into this little girl's iPad, which, yes, I know a lot of people would point out that it is kind of an Easter egg where the girl looks very similar to baby Moana. And from there, Ralph just got really interested in playing this little game of feeding the kitty milkshake and then feeding the bunny pancakes. But I'm not gonna go way too much into it, but I just gotta say, oh my god, it is probably one of the darkest jokes that Disney has ever done, and probably one of the funniest things that I have ever seen in a teaser trailer. Or at the very least, I think I can safely say that it is the funniest thing that I've ever seen in a teaser trailer for an animated film in 2018. Because really, like, it just go, like, no pun intended considering that it is related to pancakes, but, like, it's just layer upon layer of what's happening. And honestly, like, you could just cut it down at the middle and the joke would have worked, but somehow, this little clip just found a way to continue adding on to the joke and actually make it funnier and funnier as it would progress. And probably my favorite part has to be right at the end when you just hear that little it's just like, it's very subtle and it's just very small, but you just hear that little and that is like, it really does explain everything. And then, of course, afterwards, you see the little girl's reaction. Again, I'm not really going to say what it is, but honestly, just go see the trailer for yourself. If you haven't seen the teaser trailer, please do so, because that ending really does make it worth it. And honestly, that's where the true humor of this teaser trailer lies. And honestly, overall, considering of all that we got in this teaser trailer with the beginning, the middle, and the end, it does make me a little bit optimistic of what's to come with Wreck-It Ralph 2. Now, honestly, I'm not expecting a whole lot of greatness in there. Now, I mean, the worst case scenario, if we do get a lot of what's happening in the middle, then I would probably expect something in the veins of, like, Early Man, where there were a lot of people that did put in high hopes for the film, especially considering the great reputation of the animation studio and the great reputation coming from the director, but it just came out as good. By the standards of the studio and the director, it's a little bit subpar, but for what it released, at least I could safely say that it's much better than most animated films that I got in 2017. So that's like kind of the worst that I'm expecting from Ralph Breaks the Internet, is that it's good but not great. However, best case scenario is that we would probably get more of the style that we got at the end of the trailer, more so than we got in the middle. Like, the middle is just like a few small things, and like, if we do get more of that, then I think we can get something honestly fantastic right over here. It could actually turn out something that could be as good as the first Wreck-It Ralph. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I would think that the first Wreck-It Ralph film was honestly fantastic. A great addition to the Disney lineup, and it really does show how Disney can go beyond their usual formula and make something unique, something fresh, something new, even by Disney standards. So honestly, I am pretty optimistic for what's to come with Ralph Breaks the Internet 2, and I really do hope for the best. And keep in mind, this is just a teaser trailer. It didn't even fully show us what's going to be happening in terms of the plot, so maybe we might see something a little bit more different when the full trailer would be released sometime later, maybe in a few months. But I will say that I really did enjoy this trailer, especially with at the end. And if you guys are excited to go and check out Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2, then all you have to do is just wait until the end of November during American Thanksgiving for this year.